Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the weekly Wellness Wednesday that we love to call it the WWW call. We meet here every Wednesday evening and we do wrestle with some of life's challenges. We bring to life, we bring to the forefront of the journey and the valleys, the peaks, the climb, and tonight is definitely no exception. So we want to welcome you guys. And if you're on this live or on the recording, we also want to uplift you and just send kudos to you because, Jim, wouldn't you agree? And by the way, I'm Robert here in my office in Granbury, Texas. This is my co-host, Jim Rhodes, up in St. George. And
glad you're here.
We're glad you're here, guys. And we can't wait because we're about to introduce to a very special lady. So a little promo up front is that, Jim, we've been doing this for 7.5, 8 months.
Yes, we're getting to be better at it.
Well, that's debatable, but I know
well, practice, practice makes perfect. And so, we're almost to that perfect state. Perfectly imperfect together. You always remind me of that. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, and I want to show this to our guest, even a guest before we even introduce her tonight, it's about showing up perfectly in all our imperfect flaws and also our beauty and our power and our light. And so I want to welcome you. Again, Jim and I love to say it. We'll say it again. You're doing what 95% of this planet simply don't do, is simply show up and they're open and you're ready to learn and grow together with us tonight.
And truly, that makes you guys the VIPs in the room. Obviously, our guest knows her story, and we've kind of reviewed it, but you're in for a treat because when other people go through whatever journey that is, especially if it's a difficult journey, and are willing to share it and how they got through, oh my goodness, it gives everybody permission to go, oh, that's happened to me too. And that means that light at the end of the tunnel is not a train this time. I can actually see it and get there. And that's where these pearls are in these interviews. Each person from very young, 18-year-olds, all the way to the very old. I was interviewed and I'm the very old. So it is a game changer for many of us, especially me. It gives me renewed courage to know, hey, I can run on my 75th birthday, a half marathon, and not die at the end.
That's a blessing in and of itself. So
yes.
Yeah, and that's the goal, isn't it? All of us to kind of walk our walk and talk our talk, not just talk it, but actually walk it. And our guest tonight's no exception. But before we go anywhere, before we introduce our beautiful guest speaker tonight, I do want to honor those who are showing up. We have Cindy Talley. Good evening. Melissa's in the Denver airport. She's plugged in. By the way, if you don't know it, Melissa was our guest last week. Check out her interview. It's amazing. Really? And then Scott Lucas, hi from Massachusetts. Andy Sage said, Anita, you look beautiful.
Aww,
thank you, Miss Andy. And Barbara, hello there, Anita, you look amazing. Hi to all. Carol, thank you. That is such a compelling story. And obviously Cindy is rooting you on. Cindy Talley, you'll be hearing more about her. And then we have Julie Lozano from Minnesota. And we have Jill. Jill said, yay, Anita. And she sent about 1,000 hearts your way. So, and I'm going to ask the group in just a moment. Jim and myself are going to go back to you. Put one word or one sentence in this feed here that we can read to Anita as we get going. So, and we'll come back to it in just a moment. So welcome those who are joining us live or on this recording. So our guest tonight is, when I think of this lady, I think of passion, heart, definitely on a mission, authentic, and very real. And to me, that the bow around the whole package is inspirational because of the journey you're on and how boldly you step into sharing that. Thank you. Jim, what comes to mind when you think of this beautiful lady?
Brave. Because many people get discouraged and stop before they find what they've been searching for, and she never stopped. And finally, when it showed up with gratitude, she embraced it fully. You know, they say that fear knocked at the door, faith answered with courage, and there was nothing there, but it often stops us before we open the door. She didn't. She is a walking, talking personal miracle based on her story.
Yes, I agree.
Thank
So
you.
welcome. You're so welcome. Welcome, Miss Anita Conner.
Thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you.
Well, it's mutual. She's hails from the beautiful city of Yucca Valley, California. How big is Yucca Valley, by the way?
About 26,000.
Okay, it's pretty good size, and it's close to a Joshua Tree.
Right next door to Joshua Tree National Park.
Beautiful part of the country, guys. She is right now officially legally single, but not heart-wise. She has a sweetheart in her life, and they're actually engaged. His name is Joseph, and according to the pre-brief, he's the love of your life. And
Yeah, only man I've ever loved.
wow,
Wow.
such a positive influence. So, you know, God made us. God didn't stop at one. He improved on the lot when he made our woman. He didn't make us to be alone. So that's wonderful that you have a sweetheart. And then you also have adopted, which is a beautiful. We have a number of adopted, beautiful children, now adults in our family as well. You adopted 4 children who are all siblings.
Right. They're all fully biological. We say fully biological. They have the same birth parents, and they were removed. The 2 boys and 2 girls, they were removed from their birth parents when they were very young and put in foster care. And God called me to start out, I thought, because I was in the corporate America and I needed to work. And I had a calling to adopt 2 sisters. And so I started out with the 2 girls. They were 7 and 10.
Wow.
And that first year I was working and they were in school, and we bonded and we got to know their 2 little brothers. They were being adopted into another family. They were little, and tried to connect them a few times that year, but it was hard. And 11 months after the girls and I became a family, I got a call and I was asked to take in their 2 little brothers. And I said, wait a minute, they need a daddy. They need 2 parents. I'm working. I have a career. I was in the Silicon Valley working in software, big company. And they said, Anita, the one thing that you have that nobody else can give these boys is their sisters. And they were very bonded. They had survived this horrible Holocaust experience and had come through it. And I had 3 days to decide. 3 days. They said their foster parents are splitting up. They want to put them back in the system. I said, they're not puppies at a pet store. And they said, we'll help you do it. You may have to give up your career, but we'll help you do it. And that's what God led me to do. And 2 weeks later, they joined our family. And shortly after that, the Lord called me to homeschool all 4 of them. I was a former teacher, and they just needed to be together. Being split up in school that first year, it was just too traumatic for them. They were 3, 7, 8, and 11. And I'm so thrilled to be reunited and me adopting all 4 of them. But they just needed to be with me and with each other. And the Lord spoke to me a few months later and said, Nita, you can do this. So I homeschooled them all the way through. My daughter went to high school for special needs, my oldest daughter, when she was in about 15, but I homeschooled them all the way through, and they've all graduated. They're all in their 20s, and 2 are at home still, 2 are on their own. And God's given us quite a story and quite a journey of healing and hope and restoration. And they came with a lot of trauma. They came with a lot of hurt. And the Lord uniquely chose me and equipped me with my background to be able to minister to their needs and serve them. And so we have kind of a unique family.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Wow.
And what a blessing. And make sure let's make a note, Jim, make sure that we go back and revisit on the wellness side, even the impact on some of her awesome kiddos now, even from the health and the legacy that Anita is now influencing in a very beautiful, positive way with her family. So Anita, so you kind of mentioned already, so we can all relate to your journey. So you obviously have a great big heart, and because you took on that with all the courage and all the love you could, and my goodness, the gift you gave those kids and continue to, and they in turn they give so much back to you, obviously.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, and obviously you already mentioned the fact that you have been an educator for a number of years. So you love teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And in corporate America, in the corporate America arena, that was kind of encapsulating about 2 or 3 decades as well.
Yeah, about 20, 25 years. Yeah. In between, I taught in between, and I'm a musician, and I taught children's choirs and put together big drama productions for schools and churches and kindergarten through high school, and I'm good at picking out in a group of children like what their gifts are. Some children play an instrument, some children are good at speaking, and some are good at drama, and some are good at art. And so I would pull in a classroom all the gifts and talents, and then write, script out a drama production using all of their talents. So that was kind of my thing.
Now, again, another beautiful gift. So thank you for that. And so with your permission, let's now segue. I know it's kind of maybe a big step over here, but I would love to segue into part of this story, because we've talked about some things that happened and came into your life after several chapters of your life. So with your permission, let's go back, let's turn the book back a few chapters.
Sure.
And on the pre-brief, you said, Robert, I'm not sure I'm ready to share this. But then again, you had some prompting and you said, I think it's time for me maybe I can really bless some lives here by sharing this story. So starting way back in high school, probably even I'm assuming before that. So what kind of set up something that happened in your life, which led to an hospitalization, which probably led to almost you not being here? So can you kind of set the stage for that part of the journey?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I was raised as a pastor's kid. My dad was a pastor, and my parents were in ministry, and their parents were in ministry, and all my aunts and uncles are all in ministry. And so I had that kind of, sort of charmed life where I had a lot of opportunities, but I also had traumas come in my life that nobody knew about. And when I was about 14 or 15, I didn't understand until many years later. I didn't understand why this was happening to me, but I started struggling with eating disorders. I was average size, normal weight, never struggled with my weight at that point, but I just became I know now, just to deal with my parents had been in the ministry, and then my parents went through this horrible divorce, and that was humiliating back then. This is in the 80s, where a lot of church people and ministry, it was kind of shameful. And I started, I don't even know where it came from my head, but I stopped eating. I just wanted control of my life, and I just stopped eating. I got really, really sick. I was active in ministry. I graduated high school early. I had a lot going for me headed to college, but my health began to deteriorate, and I ended up in the hospital. The doctors thought that I had literally days or weeks to live because, and they diagnosed me with anorexia. At the time, nobody really talked about that. But I was hospitalized. I was very ill, and they weren't sure what it was. They just didn't know what it was. They didn't understand that the whole premise was the eating disorder. They thought that I'd lost my appetite. And so they were looking for something else. And it took actually a couple of years of great therapy and good doctors as I went into college that really helped me understand, wait a minute, this girl's really suffering with the eating disorder. And I recovered from that miraculously and went on to college. I went to a Christian college back in the Midwest, but then I still had unresolved trauma and pain. And I found myself the first year or so of college, first couple of years of college, doing really well, on the outside. But I got into the whole, we didn't know what it was back then, but I got into the whole bulimia thing where you eat to fill up and then you purge, and it's a whole cycle, and it causes a whole different set of medical issues than, starving yourself. And I ended up in the hospital, and every couple of weeks the ambulance would come to the college dorm and not know what it was.
But you also said it wasn't just you. You admittedly had a lot of other young ladies, particularly in the college setting, who were also dealing with this same disorder.
I learned that behavior from the girls in my dorm on my floor. These girls were beautiful, thin, attractive. And I saw, they would spend $30-$40 in the vending machines and just shove candy bars down and then throw up all night. And I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even understand it, but I figured out, hey, I'd struggled with eating and starving myself. And I thought, hey, I can eat, make people happy. Everybody's worried that I'm not going to eat. Maybe I can do this. And it was foolish because I knew better, but I was hurting. And I'm a singer and I'm a musician, and my voice, because of that behavior of purging and binging, I lost my voice. I couldn't sing. I couldn't talk. And again, I was hospitalized and very, very ill. And a couple of years after that, I had dropped out of college, and I was hospitalized. I was sent to a specialty clinic for eating disorders in the great state of Texas, Fort Worth, Dallas area. And I was there for several months, recovering and figuring out what life was going to be about for me. And, I was overly obsessed and overly insecure suddenly about my weight and about my looks. And I had never dealt with that as a child growing up. And getting out of this cycle of eating disorders for so many people, men and women, that I've talked to over the years and reached out to, is just so challenging, because the biggest problem is the secrecy. That's the biggest problem. It isn't that there isn't help. And of course, nutrition back then was like a joke. Nobody even knew about nutrition. Mm-hmm. But it's the secrecy. It's the secrecy and the shame that kept me a prisoner of that for many years. And the treatment that I got, I made a decision, and I'm a pretty determined person. And when I left treatment, they asked me to make, the therapist and the team, they were so wonderful, specializing in eating disorders. They asked me to make a commitment that in the future, if I did binge on food, if I overate, that I would not purge. I made that commitment. Everybody kind of made that commitment, because that cycle will destroy you and it will kill you in some way, because of the electrolytes and the whole chemical thing going on in your body. And you're going to starve of malnutrition when you do that. I mean, things are going to go wrong. So I made that decision. And from the minute I walked out of that program for eating disorders and getting fantastic treatment, I started putting on weight because I made the commitment I wasn't going to purge. And I just was lost for a lot of years. And just every year, with overeating, with eating too much, I wouldn't really binge like I used to. I wouldn't sit and have thousands of calories of food anymore, because that kind of lost the whole nuance. And I learned a lot of things about myself and how to cope with emotions, but I still would put on 10 to 15 pounds a year. So, 10 years later, I look in the mirror and I go, how did I get here?
Yeah, let me a picture speaks 1,000 words. So with your permission, let
Yes.
me share this real quick.
This
And
is
what I'm about to share, when was this picture taken? The one I'm about to share with you standing.
3 years ago.
Okay. So you went from that experience and that journey. We can hear more from Jim in a moment from the nutritional standpoint. But let's look at this and
Okay.
see the other direction. And then now how you're going you finally found some healthy solutions. But let's look at this.
Oh yeah.
Let's look at this picture here.
Yep.
So here we are. So from that journey,
That
now
was 3 years ago, almost exactly. This week, that picture was taken 3 years ago of me. I was just at 400 pounds. Yeah, 400 pounds. Yep.
okay. So let's stop that. So, okay, I just wanted to show that visual. That, and Jim, any comments on the pretty heavy conversation, which
No
some
pun
people-
intended. That is a heavy conversation because what that kind of weight does is your heart's going to fail.
Yeah.
That's first to go. That's why heart attack is taking one out of every two of us in the first place, a cardio event. Just to try to move, your lymphatic system slows down. Even though you have all this extra, your organs are starving.
Yeah.
And you just literally eat yourself to death if it doesn't stop and you don't find a way to be able to not just power through it. You've got to have someone around you, and you have to have a change in here,
Mhm.
which is knowing I am worth this journey.
Exactly.
And I can walk away from all those calories and things that aren't good for me and
Mhm.
start to search out what is nutritious and will help me start to burn this off in a natural means so that it doesn't come back and it doesn't affect me down the line and bring all of its friends.
Yeah.
Most diets, like 95% of all diets within the first 2 years have failed so miserably that anyone who went through it and lost 50 pounds, 70 pounds, 2 years later, not only this
Put it
50 or 70, they've now clear up to 100
Mhm.
because their body is afraid they're going to be starved again.
Yeah.
And so they start storing everything they can for the famine they know is going to follow.
Exactly.
And that's what diets and restrictive calories do to our body. And if we don't know those mechanics and give it all of the building blocks it needs in packages that are less calories with less carbs, particularly that create the cravings and throw everything out of balance and the inflammation and all the downward spiral to where we feel like living rather than just existing, then we get trapped in there. And it sounds like you found something.
And I want to say that all of these years, I adopted my children 18 years ago, and I took great care of them. They were my focus, but I let myself go. And I don't live with regret. I tell my children, that's the one thing I don't want you to live with is regret. And I will say the one regret I have is I wish, and those of us that are parents, single parents even, I was a unique single parent by choice with adoption, but I just wish that I would have taken better care of myself, because those years I justified not taking care of myself and my health. And as my children got older, within a few years, mom's having medical issues that I can't even pronounce or spell. I was having things happen to my body, like what Jim was saying, chemically, electrolytes. I mean, I developed chronic kidney disease. I mean, and conditions that were coming on me that I just didn't even know that someone
Existed.
younger like me could have in my 30s, mid to late 30s and 40s. And I was 40 when I got the kids.
Wow.
And I just wish that I would have made myself the priority. And like I tell people now that I'm helping people say, you're worthy. I mean, I say it right back to me, because every day I struggle.
Sure.
I struggle, even though I'm a person of faith, I struggle with feeling worthy. And I have to choose this every day especially with things I've been through in the past. And I, now I don't look, but even God can't change what happened yesterday. Even he can't. We live for right now and what he's doing in our lives now. And finding Zalevo a year and a half ago, I'd done nutrition and I'd had some success. I'd lost some weight, but I'd always put it back on. And I had never felt great. It helped with different things, but never in a comprehensive way did I it changed my life on a day-to-day basis where I couldn't believe that life could be this good. Like what happened to me in January of last year of 2021. And Cindy Tally, it's her fault I'm here. It's her fault.
It's all her fault.
It's all her fault. I was doing other nutrition and, I was willing to do that. And the thing I think you're going to get to was 3 years ago when that picture was taken, a week after that picture was taken, I felt like I had no options. My doctors were only giving me one option to resolve my weight issue that really they didn't want to, the weight wasn't the focus. It was all of my comorbidities.
Yeah.
And the only option they gave me, they pushed this for 2 years, was gastric sleeve surgery. And man, I knew about nutrition a little bit. I knew there were companies out there, but nobody took me by the hand and said, Anita, and I hadn't met Cindy. When that picture was taken, we met like 3 weeks later. And I wish, and now the people that I'm reaching out to that have 100 pounds or more to lose, I am begging people, please be open, be mindful, be willing to look at the option of nutrition rather than carving up your body. Because what I did 3 years ago, some people thought I was being courageous. My doctors were thrilled. Well, they were making a lot of money on me too. But man, do I wish that I could go back 3 years. Man, do I wish. And people can choose what they want to choose. But I am permanently missing 80% of my stomach. And there is no surgery to undo it. All I can do is go forward. And I had fought it for years. I prayed and asked the Lord to give me an option. And just after my surgery, Cindy came along and introduced me to nutrition. I did that for about a year, but then one day I saw she was doing something new and I said, what is going on? And she said, Anita, you've got to try this company, and you and your kids, you've got to, you won't believe it. And she starts telling me stories. And it's been 19 months now, 19 months. And I began to be transformed, not just with the weight melting off, not just with the inches, but health struggles that I thought I was going to have to live with the rest of my life began to change. And I knew it wasn't magic. I knew that it wasn't a cure, but I started learning and coming to Monday night, your classes on your Monday nights, and listening, and Cindy teaching me, and Jill, and looking at why my children who are in their 20s, why they are having help with their weight and their health, and why my 87-year-old dad gets on these formulations. He's a supplement nut freak, and he starts having totally incredible results on this nutrition. And again, I don't live in regret, but now my mission and my passion is to give people that have 100 pounds or more to lose. We're in our own little group. It's not the same if you have 20 or 30 pounds to lose. I started at 400 pounds. That picture 3 years ago I was at 400, right at 400 pounds. So I was carrying more than two people extra people on my skeleton. And that, that's serious. That's not 20 pounds. That's not 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking clearly when you're carrying around that. You're not feeling worthy. I don't care. I mean, those of us that have 100 pounds or more to lose, we take care of people. We serve our communities. We have jobs. We have careers. We make a difference. With that, our weight isn't the only thing that we're about. But without your health, you got nothing. And when my health was deteriorating and I was tired of being hospitalized and I was tired of needles sticking in me and I was tired of doctors giving me some new diagnosis I couldn't even pronounce. And they're like, oh, this is because, of carrying all this weight on you all this time and your body breaks down. And so let's just cut you open and take out 80% of your stomach and we'll fix it all. Looking back, I could be angry about it, but I just decided I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to reach out and give people an option. I just want to give people an option and tell them, because doing something drastic to carve into your body. And I know how popular it is. I know both surgeries, there's 2 gastric surgeries. I know they're popular and I know the risk factors. Now, they've perfected the medical science and all that, but there are risks. There are things I go through every day that I shouldn't have to go through the rest of my life. Yeah. And if I can help just 1 or 2 or 3 people avoid that and experience a levo in day to day to get victory over shame and overeating and cravings. I mean, the shame of it is so destructive. Just the shame and the humiliation and the guilt that you carry. And the looks of others and how you're treated in this world that we live in, socially, and then spiritually, it affects you. It affects everything, your sleep and your mobility. I have mobility issues that since I've been on Zalevo, again, not making any claims, but Cindy and will tell you that I'm a different person. And I'm a different person in the last 2 months. Since you saw me.
And just to go down a practical path for a moment, what are some of the just very practical day in, day out changes? I'd love to hear a little summary of that.
Well, I don't use a sleep apnea machine anymore.
Ooh.
That's one thing. Again, I'm not making any claims. I'm not promising anything, but I mean, when you have less weight, and I've lost about 164 so far pounds. I'm still going down.
Just a minute for those listening. I typically weigh about 160. So you've lost one of me.
I've lost one of you. I've lost one of you. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
But when you have less weight, like I've lost about 2 a chin so far. When you have less weight around here, then issues with apnea, issues with breathing are going to be impacted in a positive way. Absolutely. My allergies, even to animals. I was at one of our pastors' homes tonight. They have animals. It didn't affect me nearly as bad. I was there for about an hour and I felt a little pressure, but I wasn't sicker than a dog. These formulations change everything. Mobility. A year and a half ago, Cindy will tell you, even at church, I had to use a walker. I had to use a walker or the scooters in the stores to go everywhere. Now, I don't even always have to use a cane. Sometimes I do. I have a little bit of something weird that I have to sometimes use a cane so I don't fall over. But what's happening is the weight coming off is shifting my whole skeleton, my whole way that I am in this world. And so it's really quite amazing. Sleeping, the energy, and I call it brightness, like waking up. Since I've been on Zalevo, I am not a morning person. I'm a night owl. Okay. I'm up till 2 a.m. and I sleep in. Since I started these, I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm bright and I'm tired at night at the right time. That's another thing. When you're carrying a lot of weight, your whole biological, like
Yeah.
off and on clock, day and night, is all the circadian, whatever it's called, is so messed up. And I'm up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I've actually watched, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've actually watched the sunrise recently. Like, that is so not me. If anybody that knows me, and I'm tired at night, and I wake up and I'm, of course, the Z trio, those three things we put in our water first thing in the morning are just like,
That kind of lights your brain up. Yeah, it's
like,
amazing.
and I just feel like I've been sleeping and I got kissed by the prince, and I'm awake, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing the world and experiencing the world in a different kind of way. And of course, I've just been swallowing the products for like a year and a half. But now that I'm building my business and I'm really focused on helping other people, now I'm learning, okay, why do I feel this way? Why has that changed? And of course,
Wow.
Jim's an expert on all that. And I'm learning, I want to learn more about why these formulations are doing this. What minerals are changing my brain, and cravings alone. When you struggle with 100 pounds or more to lose, and you've had eating disorders for decades, the whole craving cycle is you don't realize it, that your body is starving. You're malnourished. And every time you eat fast food and junk food and flour and sugar, which I cut out 3 years ago, completely cut out, you realize this taste in my mouth and this headache that I have all the time is like poison. And when the pounds and the inches start melting, and with Zalevo, you don't have that detoxing thing that other nutrition I've been through, and where I have been sick for days detoxing on other nutritional lines because they didn't have the minerals. And now I'm learning that,
Yeah.
you don't have that with here. I mean, for me, with my history of eating disorders, and I have to say this, some of you, everybody talks about doing burn days, and Kirsty does, and we all do, and how fantastic they are. But those of us that have struggled with eating disorders, doing a fast is hard, because sometimes it triggers things we've been through in the past with starving ourselves, and we're sometimes afraid of that slippery slope. And when I started Zalevo a year and a half ago, Cindy was saying, about burn days, and I never told her, because she's hearing this for the first time. I've never told her about the eating disorders and the treatment I've gotten and how sick I've been. She doesn't even know. But burn days and using burn just freaked me out. It just freaked me out. I didn't do them because I was too nervous about sliding back into old habits. And 2 weeks ago, you guys all gave me, at that conference in Utah, early August, I just felt so much burden off of me. And all of a sudden I said, Nita, you can do this. You're going to do these burns. Your body needs this. 2 weeks ago, I did a 63-hour burn. And I never felt hungry. Honestly, it was a little with the products. Of course, you don't do the collagen on the burn. I did the E-Vibe and the burn every 4 hours. 63 hours. I kind of felt, I don't know, you're supposed to feel a little buzzed and high. And again, now I'm learning about, because it's clearing out your brain and your cells and it's replenishing, you do feel kind of, and I just felt like, oh my goodness, I've never been high or intoxicated in my life, but it felt that way. I felt like, wow, I was seeing colors. I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't hungry at all. And I could have gone longer, but I just had decided I'm going to quit. So tonight I'm starting my next 60-hour fast that I need. And I have no fear, because these products, these formulations, and then the support y'all give us, and it's so authentic and it's not fake. It's just not fake. This is just the most authentic company, and the people make up the company. And I just have support all around me. But I haven't shared this part, before. But I mean, when you struggle with eating disorders, doing a burn, doing burn days, doing intermittent fasting can be frightening. And now I can help other people not be afraid and tell my story, even to my VIPs that I'm, trying to get excited about the products that are using them and getting results. But now I have another piece that I can share. And I hope that some of you that are dealing with, customers that have a lot of weight to lose, you'll find a way to maybe say, I'm not going to ask you about this. This is too personal, but I met this gal. She shared her story about eating disorders, and she has found Zalevo line to have changed her life and have taken so much stigma off of it and taken so much fear out of health and nutrition and eating right and not feeling deprived. Because again, those of us that have 100 pounds or more to lose, frankly, if you have 100, 150, 200 pounds, you may not have think you do, but you've got some eating disorder problems. And these products address specific pieces of what we've been through and what we struggle with on a daily basis, that even if we mess up, I messed up. I never have gone back and eaten a whole pie or a whole bag of cookies. But I mean, to me now, if I grab something that I just don't eat anymore, I don't eat bread. And if I have a piece of bread, I go, okay, I messed up, I move on. But I'm still losing inches. The formulations like don't care. They're so full of grace. Like these formulations are so powerful. I swear there's like grace all around the little bottles or something, because it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, and I want to bring this point as we kind of close this call out tonight. It's been an amazing story. Thank you, Anita. And one of the biggest gifts that you've given your immediate loved ones in your own household, your daughter has now shed 28, not just 28, 28 pounds, but I'm assuming more, and your son has shed 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. He's 21. More importantly, there's other shifts happening in their mind, in their hearts, and their belief. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. My daughter's lost 2 pant sizes. You can fake shirts and dresses, ladies. You can't fake pant sizes. And she's down 2 whole pant sizes that she hasn't worn for 10 years, since she was a little girl in high school. And she is just glowing. And it isn't just about the inches and the weight. It's our skin, our hair. I get compliments on everything. It's our eyes, it's our attitude. And it just makes you more effective and more. I just want the outside of me, you guys. I just want the outside of me to match the inside, the heart that God's given me. And I don't want there to be 2 different me, and that's my goal. And I'm going to get down. I have more weight to lose, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to share with more people, and I'm going to keep telling my story. And sometimes the 2-3 people I talk to every day, sometimes people, aren't interested. And I get up the next morning and go, there's more people out there that need to hear. They need Zalevo. They need to get this food in them. It's so life-changing. It's so life-changing.
And speaking of that, can you share the one more story? You have a friend, I forget the circumstance why she wasn't absorbing or taking other food, and she was actually doing like 3 shakes a day of our full spectrum.
She may be listening to this. I don't know. I'm not going to say her name, but she's had a serious medical issue, intestinal problem in the last few months, in the last 6 months, serious. And she just had a serious surgery just weeks ago. But she's been on the products, and all she could eat for months has been 3 shakes a day of Zalevo. She could not swallow anything else. And she had been using the whole, the other formulations too, but the doctor said, no, just the shakes. They looked at, just the shakes. It's all she's been eating. Her and her little 7-year-old has them too. And she she just last week came over to me at church and said, I just lost 100 pounds, Nita. I made it to 100 pounds. And she did most of that on these silly Ultra 30 shakes that people, I mean, the power of them, but that's so silly because they taste so good. How can they taste so good? And she's like, I'm addicted.
Yeah.
And she's been doing 3 a day. You can live on these.
And by the way, just to be well, it's not a matter of compliance. Just practically speaking, we don't recommend, because you're watching this, that's not normal practice.
Her doctor said, because you can't eat much, looked at him and said, until your surgery, that eat this. If this is all you can eat, then eat this. And now she's like back to eating normal and doing her 1 or 2 shakes a day and having normal food. And yeah, that was something specific. For her.
Well, what a blessing to help her through that. Those couple chapters in her. Oh my goodness.
I was so thrilled, and she's so worth it. She's a beautiful, beautiful gal. And she serves and ministers to so many people and children, and she's so worth it. And I just love that. I just love the stories. Just one person at a time. I just love it.
Wow.
I just love it.
So Jill, definitely not the same. Amen. Jill was also one of those individuals who had shed 100 pounds and is loving life. Jill said, what are some of your big audacious goals? And again, we're going to have to do a part 2 with Anita, Jim.
I totally agree. I am just speechless. I am just loving what I'm hearing.
Thank you guys.
You have shared so many nuggets that are so precious to so many who are praying for an answer, who are caught in an addictive circle that's taking their health, their lives away, including even, as you mentioned, the spirituality. And it takes a tribe. I might just say that.
It does.
And this tribe that has been put together by this company is so people oriented. It's not about them, it's about servant leadership. And it shows up in almost every person you run into in this company that has that heart, that it's about you, not me. And what can I do to assist you to reach your goal? I don't care where they are and what line. You could ask anybody up to the owner and president for time, when his time is very precious, to help with something, and he would say, yes, I'll take it.
The willingness of the servant leadership and the mission, and everybody that I meet, all of you are just so in line with that. It's just magic.
It is.
Of course, it's biblically based, and it's a God thing. A lot of us are faith-based, and we love that. But it all comes down to these products. And if the formulations didn't do what they were designed to do,
bingo,
then we wouldn't be talking.
We wouldn't be here.
And without the one formulation that you mentioned that you were scared to even use,
the burn,
which it was named because what it burns is your own fat, turning it into ketones, does so much for us to get not only into ketosis and burning our own energy that's stored there as fat, but it opens up the whole window of rebuilding inside, that regeneration called autophagy that is happening. There's where the glow, there's where the hair, that's where every part of your body is coming alive, because it's being fed what it needs, and it's doing its own healing process.
And it's just so amazing that these little packages, these cute little powdered, you put in, you stir it up, and you just take it, and it does it. And it is magic, but it's so intentionally put together, of course.
That's the bottom line.
And that's what's so amazing. And you don't have to know about every ingredient. I'm not an ingredient gal. I mean, you don't have to know. Just take it, do it. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, just put it in your body. There's no risk here. It's all guaranteed. So in closing, can I ask you one more? Sure. I would love you to share one of your other God-given gifts. Can you I know I didn't ask you prior. This is off the cuff.
Okay.
Think of one verse of one of your favorite songs, and that you know could kind of symbolize kind of how you feel. I would love for you to put you on the spot and just sing one verse for us.
Well, the one I'm thinking of, all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Wow. Well, love and light, you have so much to give. You are powerful beyond measure, and
Thank
you are truly let your light shine. So,
Thank you.
oof. And from the group watching this, Melissa, I love your grace. I love your heart. Your story is awesome. Diane, you are so incredibly beautiful and worthy, Miss Anita.
Thank you.
And said you remind me, I love your Christ-like spirit, greatness, modeling that. Wonderful interview. Lots of love here. So you'll have to go to the feed there.
Love you guys.
Yeah, love you guys. Love you, Anita. Love and light.
Thank you so
here
much.
You're so welcome. Here we go, guys. You ready? Force for good. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Force for good.
Take care.
You are definitely a force for good. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for being willing to
Thank you.
be
I'm
that
honored.
servant leader.
I'm honored.
Robert, great interview. Thank you.
Love and light. Thank
You
you.
bet.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Anita.
Bye-bye.
God bless. God bless.
God bless you.